Alrighty. Gonna reset that there. It's getting a little late, so we're just gonna knock a quick one off here. And this is, of course, previously we did ballpoint pen. This is, of course, rollerball. Rollerball. Got my LAMY 2K rollerball, my favorite rollerball. Ready to rumble. And we are going to draw what we think is a bear jaw. Super cool piece. Found in the wild, not by me. So I like having it right here in front. Again, of course, there's going to be a slight difference in perspective, as we've seen with all of these real-life drawings, but you are welcome to either copy mine, in which case you might have to wait a little bit for me to get started, or just try and copy that yourself. Both are excellent exercises. You should probably not attempt to do both at the same time, however. That you can use sort of like shape and inspiration from this one to like fill in different details, but I would pick one of the other two techniques. You can be inspired by what I'm doing as well, but much better to focus. Stay focused with your art. I got a hair here, which I'm going to try and remove, and I am going to try and stay focused on actually getting this video done in relatively decent time. So since we're using pen, I like this angle that I've got over here with my head. I'm going to start here with the tooth. Gonna have nice, tall cuts and runs. Since we're using pen, it's just going to be a lot of confidence, a lot of trying to hit these different bars as easily and as quickly as possible. Come over there. Throw in that first chunk of tooth. Speed for pen suddenly becomes more of a demand because of the way the ink comes out of the tip. By moving quickly, you get a different type of line. So it's no longer just like a casual thing. I'm just like, oh, I'll go faster. No, you actually do need to control your speed properly with different implements. And of course, ideally with pens, you start fast. Sometimes there's this weird effect. Somebody should explain that to me, why that does that. Anyway, a control of speed with pens is particularly important. And try and get that perspective right. Come along on the tooth. Down and around. I particularly enjoy doing these sorts of things, so I think that is somewhat evident in the art and the precision with which I feel like I'm able to render some of these finer details. Of course, the rollerball is pretty heavy-handed with these shadows, but I think some of them are actually really important to try and portray. Keep my lines as accurate as possible as I come along this part of the molar here. And along, definitely mammalian, whatever this is. Lots of beautiful differentiated teeth. Do a bit of leftover gum or whatever delicious thing that happens to be. Come over to the bottom of the tooth here. Oh, I overshot it a tiny bit. Here, I'll toss in some not totally accurate shading, but it'll help cover the thing. These are definitely vertical looking lines. Starting to get some decent looking shading there. Yeah, so you can use different effects and strokes of the pen in order to achieve different things. A couple pieces rising up, but nice sharp elements and lines in this jaw. Come down too sharply. I'm not sure why I did that. I got excited. Sometimes you do. Alright. Come up. I'm using this as my judgment plane. Right? That was pretty good, I think. around to the back of the jaw. Oh, I meant to go up with that, but that's okay. Couple extra unnecessary lines there on the back of that bone, but that was pretty smooth. And I really did not nail that ending, but it's gonna look pretty good in the end anyway. If you know what you're looking at, of course, you'd probably be able to figure out that it was wrong. But that's the way with a lot of art, unfortunately. That's why really good paleo artists are actually in demand. Mediocre paleo artists, or like ChatGPT quality paleo artists, are a dime a dozen. But really high quality, accurate work is always in demand. And very difficult. You gotta be up to date with the latest research. Typically, those guys end up associated with particular scientists or projects. I'm really enjoying this vertical tapping. A lot of fun looking at that stuff. I'm going to outline some of my highlights here, just like that. That. And that. It's a little crazy to do, but I think it's actually important. Otherwise, you lose these. I never started that timer, of course. Classic. 6 minutes in already. Hit that button. Gonna bounce around for a moment. Not super happy with this line. There we go. I incorporated it. Had to make a little bit of a sacrifice there in order to make that happen. That should be a little bit further along, so I'm going to wait. Now I'll drop it. Try for that and that, I think, around here. And there we go. Toss some flesh on the edge of there. Try and catch the sort of style of the bone here. It's good practicing in these different mediums. That's kind of what this little series is obviously about. Just doing these different things from life, but in these different basic styles. This got way too big, but I don't think it matters that much. I'm happy to exaggerate over here for now, I think. So by practicing with these different mediums, you start to get an idea of what it takes to produce art in slightly different ways and styles. And that actually communicates really well over to, again, whatever medium you end up preferring. So, if you really love pencil, you're like, well, why would I ever pick up a rollerball? You can learn things about sort of how you're using a rollerball, or sort of be forced to use a rollerball in ways that you wouldn't naturally be forced to use a pencil, and that's a really important learning experience. There's often a really good reason to try and pick up a new tool. Doing some of these shadows is going to be really tricky because they're so soft. Capturing perfectly soft things with this is not very easy. I'll do my best. See, the trick is to try and figure out beforehand. See, if I come out like that, start on the inside, come out like that. Ooh, I got an A. Look at me, I got ideas. This boy got ideas. Okay. Right over there. Come out like that. Ooh, I take that. Ooh. See, it's getting a little funky on me. Just wanna. Yep. So ideally, we're starting there. Let me find our angle. And then we just scratch them. Please don't be, yeah, okay, we're good. It's quite a quick dry, this rollerball, which is one of the reasons why I like it. And that's definitely something that you, as an individual artist, have to figure out what you need. I flourish the most in, to be honest, the lowest stakes art environments. So I much prefer, oil paints, that sort of thing, where it's essentially as long as you you put a lot of effort in. Basically, everything is reversible. Just using the palette and the medium that you're already practicing with. Whereas with this, I can't really just keep doing this and start taking the black ink off. Having articulated that rather tedious point, actually trying to draw this thing a bit. What ideally I would like to do is get the difference in like color and texture and shape. And I think a simple modeling structure like this will suffice. Just trying to make sure that each independent line and touch in the bone is represented. If it ends up looking really old and weathered, then that's fantastic, right? So since I've got the time to put in as much detail as I can, people often try to, or struggle to figure out how to put more detail into things. And it's like, well, you just keep looking for new ways to represent some part of the object. There's always something more to do. The art's very unlikely to stop. You might not be happy with the way a particular piece turns out if you continue, and that's always a risk. But when you're practicing art, it's really important to just push on, push on, push on. Keep on trying to find those ways, those different lines and shapes and styles that are going to let you portray all of these different complex ideas and concepts that are actually vital for you to get better at art. Here we are. So I'm trying to use as many different sort of styles and shapes in actually representing what I definitely do see. And because it's all based on what I'm actually checking out in the jaw here, I think it should just communicate. It should work out well. That's my hope. At a certain point, you got to worry about balance and composition and things, but frankly, once you start putting in higher and higher levels of detail, then you did that sort of concern gets reset for a bit, right? Until you've figured out where all of these new elements peacefully coexist together. See, here we even just have straight up holes, and I'm able to represent them in a different sort of way. Because we built up this language with dots, There's my holes and my specks. Yeah. And again, just trying to use different techniques and figure out how to map this piece together. Portray different aspects of light and shadow and put in these like pock marks and pieces that I left out before. These discolorations in the bone, whatever they happen to be. All of it starts to come together now, come into the picture, brought into the image. I'd like this to continue to be clear what it is, so round it off, sharpen it out, but also again keep thinking about how to communicate this idea here. I'm actually starting to see these lines, so again, once you start to spot a couple things, to move a couple things into shape, just helps the overall scale and structure and shape and style of the piece. Yeah, because there's still problems I'd like to figure out here. Also, if you're getting, if I'm getting tired, I can also commit to just, gently tossing in a couple more streaks on this roller down here. Now, ideally, for working in a pen like this, you're not retreading your steps too much. So however you want to accomplish that. Good luck. For me, it's usually brief little lines and then some passage over like I'm doing there. I'm pretty happy with that, but I'm going to pause for now. Come over here, try and toss in this detail that's suddenly nice and clear for me. And when you suddenly are spotting something, just try and get it in. I'm getting sort of like overall shapes and patterns in the bone here. I want to start tying together. Now that I've got all these sort of disparate elements, I want to start tying them together into these overall sort of shapes and patterns that I can see. The work's already started a little bit, but something like that's still pretty good, I think. Keep dotting, keep just trying to toss in a few lines here and there. Get a few more hints of what this odd little surface is like. What's going on over here? Can always come back and work on the shadow if needs be. Oops, got a little bulb, but that's okay. There we go. Just tap it out nice and gently. Just trying to get a more consistent run with that particular roller. Come back, fill in some of those spots that I missed. And then again, in order to blur this, I think pushing out from the inside with little flat lines like that, probably good. Ideally keep it on the line as much as possible so I'm not going over myself. So I'm starting dotting it there. And there you go. I think that's a fairly diffuse looking style. This is not my happiest corner here, but it's okay. Sometimes these things don't work out quite as you had hoped. I'm definitely going to fill in this section here. Have the shade on the bottom worked out. And then piece by piece, pretty happy with this. Done pretty well. The old Lammy's holding up here. Come on. There we are. Beaut. Immediately, of course, run into a cross hand position. Try and approach things from there. Very foolish, but I kind of like the way to the shadows over there, but definitely like the way I pushed the diffuse shadow out there. So I think this doesn't need to be that diffuse, but as it gets further away, yeah, I think a gentle feathering here is probably in order. And then a more heavy one near the center. I think that's the way I'm going to try and tackle it this time. Down here, try a slightly different technique. It's the effect that matters, he keeps telling himself. These sort of things I find very important because of how they add to the weight of the object. Especially when you're dealing with something so minimal. Keep in mind my lines are radiating in this quite specific way. And that makes me pretty happy and pretty satisfied with that. So now I'm going to come back over here. And hit out with the second layer. As promised, wouldn't lie to you. And make sure I'm still getting ink out of this thing every now and then. Oh yeah. Push, push, push. Line, 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 line. Preferably some dots to add a more diffuse character. Come on, we can do this. Some of artists just committing to an idea, hoping it works out. Hoping you're patient enough to do all 50 million dots or whatever it ends up being. But, you know, this is where having a clock is kind of nice. You're just like, yeah, this is the amount of time I got, and I'm going to put it into this. You know, it's not taking that long. Keep telling yourself that, you know. It'll be worth it in the end. That's the problem. Some of this effort, sometimes you put this effort in, doesn't end up being worth it. You just the visual difference is not sufficient to make it worthwhile. It's always sad when that happens. So you know, you can sometimes just have to acknowledge a loss. That I'm pretty happy with. Happy enough that I'm going to gently feather this section over here using another shadow line there, and come along over here and try and just spread it out a bit. Nice. Okay. This section is, yeah, significantly darker, and so is this section, so I have to make sure that's actually reflected in my palette. Now I'm going to focus for a little bit on the overall colorings and shades. So just making sure that my darker sections are darker and emphasized properly. Ideally that there's a set number of simple sort of shading gradations, but that's much easier. That's much easier to do, not in this particular medium. This should be dark. This should be much darker. This whole section is like substantially darker than that on the actual piece, but on mine that is not the case. That is much better. That is better. This shape over here, this shape over here, I haven't neglected. They're not in quite the right place. I haven't neglected them, but the teeth as well, you know, so delicate, but just, I think I just have to, you know, put some lines in and things, just figure out ways to sort of fill their space a little bit. They're just seeming a little unoccupied. You know, the highlights aren't quite enough. There's like light shadows in them and things, but now that everything else has added detail, you know. Get some of that shading in again. General form. Okay. Oh, that's not so bad, actually. Continuing just to try and get the overall shading a little bit more tight. If I come back with another round, which is the darkest section? Oh, here for sure. So let's come over here like that. Over here as well. I think here we can actually afford to brush down the teeth a little bit. And I do think sections of this also deserve the treatment. But then I want another layer on this etching just to add the three-dimensionality from here. And because there's a run of sort of laterally inspired shadow work, or at least to me that feels laterally inspired. It's a weird thing to say. Sorry. Ooh, that's looking good. I'm liking this. Okay, so let's wrap it up, I think, with a few more strokes over there and a few strokes over there. So I've tried to capture as much of the differences in light and variability as I can. I resorted to sort of a cheap shading technique at the end, so forgive me for that. But I think the result is just nicer, faster, which is inevitably an important factor for these sorts of, for art in general, right? So, I hope you like that. I hope you think it's good. I actually kind of like it. As you can see, a little trouble finishing, stopping. There we go. Well, no, should I do this as well? No, I shouldn't. I should just leave it. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's pretty good. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned some stuff. I hope you think it's good. That's what really matters. And I hope you take care of yourself. Have a great day. Learn some stuff, do some art, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.